right, folks. Wow. I haven't done a live. Well, actually, I just did one yesterday. Uh, it was on Facebook, though. But I haven't done a YouTube live in like 2 weeks now. And I have only put up one video in 2 weeks. Seems I'm slacking. Welcome, whoever's in the room, whoever's watching. See if I can get this not so in your face. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. Now I'm not so in your face. And this little screen isn't so in my face. We'll give it a few minutes, see if anybody else pops in before I get this show on the road. There's a couple more people. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got a lot of topics I want to discuss today. I'm going to try not to get sidetracked with comments, even though I can read the comments, although I don't have my computer here. We'll get to that in a minute. I seem to have some computer issues going on. Started with internet issues. I guess for the past 3 weeks now. How's it going there? Achter? Love Achter? Love Achter? Certain that's a play on words somehow. For the past like 3 weeks now in the region that I live in, we've been having a lot of weather. Mostly like mid-afternoon, late afternoon, early evening thunderstorms. Pretty typical for this time of year. 3 weeks ago, we had one. I swear I was out here. I'm outside again today. I was out here with the dog, and it wasn't raining or anything, and lightning hit, I swear, 200 yards away. Nothing in the neighborhood got on fire or anything. I didn't see any damage, but I literally heard the crack of the lightning. It was that close. Had me about jump out of my skin. But the internet modem didn't work after that. So that was one of my issues. And then, after a couple of calls to Xfinity, finally got a technician out here. Who the guy had told me that, for the previous week or so, all he's been doing is replacing modems and TV boxes in this area. So, I wasn't the only one that was having issues. But once he got that back up, I did actually load the water filter video. So anybody who did check that out, thank you. I appreciate that. I've had that sitting around for a couple of years. Never had to use it, obviously, because, we haven't had any emergencies like that that would require me to have to filter that much water. I have water stored, but eventually that's going to run out. So I would have to, filter water. So I do appreciate the views that I got on that. It wasn't many, but my videos don't really get a lot of views. I'm not one of those big YouTubers yet. My channel's still fairly new. But anyway, I got that video loaded, and then I started noticing, my computer was having more and more difficulty connecting to the Wi-Fi. It would connect, but it would not get an internet signal coming through it. And I knew it wasn't the modem at that point because the phone was getting it, and my work computer was getting it. Just my personal laptop was not, and it's still not. So it's pretty old. I've had it about 15 years. So I'm not really able to edit videos or upload any type of videos off the GoPro. So I guess for the next couple of weeks, we're just going to do this YouTube thing live. I did put a poll out shortly after all of that happened to see what people thought about just me doing lives. When I go to, how's it going, Crunch? When I go to talk about a topic or, go over, whatever the subject is for that video, just do it live. Because I don't really do a lot of editing anyway. The GoPro that I have does have a remote where I can, turn it on and turn it off, with this little, key fob looking thing, little remote control thing. But I don't do that. I press start and then I walk around from behind the camera and I start the video. I go through. You want me to keep a mix? I guess you saw my poll, because that was one of the options, was, try to do a little bit of both. I am going to get a new computer. I was looking at them on the on Amazon. So I am going to have to get a PC. And my computer is probably 15 years old. It's a Toshiba. I got nothing bad to say about it. What's my thought on that? I don't really have a preference either way. I think the lives are a little easier. I can see where the videos would be cleaner. And the more I thought about it, I thought, when I'm doing a video and I edit it down, it actually becomes a little bit smaller. And I know people don't want to spend 20, 30, 40 minutes watching a video. A lot of the YouTube is, quick stuff, get it in, get it out. I notice longer videos get less views. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking about there. Crunch. We're on the same plane, man. Doing my lives. And then, if you ever, had a YouTube channel, I noticed where I can go to my channel, the YouTube studio, and I can actually download the live video onto my PC. And then I can edit out parts of the live into shorts and reload it as shorts. So I think that's kind of the direction I'm going to go in. Is do the lives, and stick with my same, outdoor and preparedness topics. And then after the live is finished, within a couple of days, I'll download it. I'll edit out parts, that I can crunch down. I think the shorts are 3 minutes or less. And that should be good. And we'll see how that goes for a while. So if anybody watching did respond to my poll there, I really appreciate it. It helped me out. I really wasn't leaning any direction one way or another. I did like the idea of doing things live, which is going to bring us into my first topic that I want to talk about. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. I will get another computer. I should have bought it this weekend. In fact, my other half told me I should prioritize and order a computer, but I had already made plans to go order another pistol from the gun store on Saturday. So I was faced with, do I go order another pistol that I really had my eye on for a while, or do I scrap the pistol for now and get the new laptop? I ordered the pistol, damn it. I've been chewing on this, the Ruger RXM. It's like a Glock clone if you're not really familiar with it. There's a lot of things about it that I really like that caught my attention, and probably since October of last year, I've been mulling this over of whether or not I wanted to, go ahead and pick this pistol up, because I have plenty of other pistols. No other reason other than it's the simplicity of the pistol itself, the interchangeable fire control unit, as far as slides and lower frames. And I knew when it came out, I said, wow, this is going to be new. This is going to be groundbreaking, because it's only a matter of time before there are as many accessories on the market, for this pistol as there are for like ARs, and other really popular, like the Ruger 1022. You can buy a bone stock Ruger 1022 for $200 or $300, and basically right off the shelf, accessory wise, build it into almost anything you want it to be. There are that many accessories available for that platform, as well as the AR platform. And I kind of saw this Ruger, the RXM. It's Magpul and Ruger kind of got together and built a Glock clone. But there's a lot of parts on that are interchangeable with not only Glocks, but also the Palmetto State Armory dagger. And Magpul is who made the lower frame, basically the grip. But now there's a couple other companies that are making them too. I just saw about a week ago on Such's channel where he bought an RXM and did a review on it. And since then he's upgraded to the new lower frame, and he said it's like a whole new pistol. So you know, that was kind of what sealed the deal for me. Is like, you know, I knew it was only a matter of time before all the bells and whistles and the accessories came out, because it's optics ready. You know, all you do is take the plate off and it's already drilled and tapped for several different types of you know, it to me it's a no brainer. And I talked to the gun dealer, and I've known the guy for a little bit now, um, about it, and you know, he agrees that it's only a matter of time before, you know, things like uh, a 40 Smith and Wesson, or other, like a 357 Sig, to where it's going to be interchangeable. You know, you're going to be able to change out slide, barrel, uh, you know, much like the AR platform, where uh, it doesn't take a whole lot of parts to swap out of it to make it a 22 long rifle, and then swap out a bunch of parts and put it back to 223, or even 300 blackout. Little more involved with an AR with barrels and all that. The pistol's going to be much easier, but you know, I think in time, if the popularity grows, which I'm seeing it grow, if it continues, I think it's going to be one of those, you know, kind of staple platforms that people can almost build into anything. So I went ahead and ordered one. They didn't have it at the store, and the first time I had asked the gun store that I go to if he could get it, it was unavailable. And this was, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. And finally, I called him up last week, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to ride up Saturday if that you know, Ruger is available to order. And he said, you know, let me check. Give me a minute. Yep, I can get it. He gave me a great deal on it. So I said, all right, I'll ride up Saturday. And on a good note, the other half bought her first pistol there on Saturday. I was proud of her. She, back over the winter, went and got her concealed carry permit. We did a little bit of range time. She was just using my pistols. We rented, we went to the indoor range, a couple different ones, and rented a couple of different pistols until she kind of found, you know, what she liked. But she actually bought her first pistol on Saturday, and I'm excited about that. She bought the Springfield Hellcat Pro. Super nice pistol, came with optics right on it. You know, I'm happy with the purchase. I'm happy with the price that she got, and you know, I'm looking forward to you know, being able to get out to the range and for her to get some lead down range with it. So, all right, that brings me back to why I was contemplating on, or at least asking the question of, should I keep making videos or should I do lives? Now, I agree. I think I'm going to do a mix of both, just like Crunch says in the comments there. And he may have been, or she may have been, you know, whoever had said it in the poll that I put up on YouTube about, you know, doing a little bit of a mix of both. I don't know about all of y'all, but I watch a boatload of YouTube channels. I subscribe to dozens of different channels, and you know, I watch them. You know, a lot of them are influences of mine. You know, as far as why I started my own channel. But I've been noticing that there is a growing trend of AI content, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not. I just don't like it. You know, I don't like the thought of it. I personally would rather see, like, and I don't know how many people we got in here. We only got 2 people watching right now. I had a few a little bit ago, but I guess everybody left. But those of you that are watching, if you watch the outdoor prepper survivalist type channels, do you watch every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock when Corporal's Corner drops his? Every Sunday, man, like clockwork. I get my coffee, and 10 o'clock I sit down when he, you know, releases his video, and boom, I watch every single week what he does. Just like on Tuesdays when the Sensible Prepper does his show. So the AI content, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I definitely don't like it now, and I don't think it's going to be something that grows on me, because I prefer to watch an actual human being doing something. You know, I don't want to see a bunch of, you know, flash image pictures scrolling across the screen with some AI voice telling me about a firearm or a review between two. I'd rather watch Hickok, or I'd rather watch Such, or Tactical Toolbox or Brownells or any of those where it's an actual human being. So I'm not sure where this trend for AI content is coming from, or where it's going to go. I could see where it would be easier. You get the Chat GPT, you tell it what type of video you want to make, and it makes it for you. You upload it, and I see them a lot, and half of them I don't believe. And if you read through the comments, a lot of them are less than accurate when it comes to their content. Again, I'd rather see a human being. So I think that's part of the I guess the details of what's kind of leaning me towards, instead of making videos and then uploading them, just doing it live. I would like to see, Sean Kelly. I know he does a lot of editing. He does his solo overnighters in the woods, and then he comes back and he edits and then gets it uploaded by 10 in the morning, and that's a lot of work. I think it would be just as good, just get out there with the camera and build his shelters and do his thing live. I think that would be cool. I would watch. I don't know about anyone else, but I would definitely watch. So let me know what you guys think as far as this AI content and the trend that it's starting, this momentum that it's starting to build. And I've heard a couple other YouTubers mention it, but no one's really dove into it deep yet. I know there's a button when you upload a video. There's a box you can check that says this is not AI created. But I don't know if you could see that. I've never really looked for it in descriptions of videos or whatever I'm watching. And to be honest, I rarely look at the description or I see the video, I see who it is, I tap it and it plays. So probably much like everyone else. So yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to discuss, was this AI content. Because I enjoy doing the lives. I enjoy making the videos, and I don't think that I will ever. Now I have used AI, for looking up details about something. Before I go, making a statement in a video, I want to make sure that my details are correct. So if there's something that I'm uncertain about, I will go to the AI and ask it the question, or give me the breakdown of whatever it is. And it is a tool, and it does have a convenience. But I don't think that that's the direction that content creation should go. I think it should be a person, that's there and doing what they're doing and showing you what they're doing, as opposed to just some automated computer voice reciting a script. I'm not a fan. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, you guys could think differently. I don't know. I know personally I'm not a fan, but I can't speak for everyone. So that's my stint on AI content and some of the videos that I've seen pop up. Did a live last night with 302 Outdoors. We have a little hiking / camping trip coming up. 2 weeks from now? Yeah, 2 weeks. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. We haven't really locked down. We're dancing around hiking on the Mason-Dixon Trail. I've hiked this section of the Mason-Dixon Trail before. It's a great section. My other half and I, we hiked it a couple of years ago, and it was good. It was challenging. We started a little later in the day than we should have, so it was kind of starting to get dark when we completed it, which was the only regret. Other than that, it was a great trail. The terrain was good. The scenery was great. So I think this little excursion with 302 Outdoors is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm pretty certain that one, if not both of us, are going to do lives either on Facebook or YouTube at the campsite. More than likely not while we're hiking. That's kind of a pain in the ass. Um, at least I've never tried it, but I don't think it would go over too well to actually try to go live while you're hiking. But I think at the end of the hike, I think we're going to try to do a live either on Facebook or YouTube. I'm not sure which platform we're going to put it on, at our campsite after our hike. So that'll be cool to do. I'm looking forward to that. So one of the things that we did discuss last night on the Facebook Live was a company out of Pennsylvania, pretty local for us. I've never dealt with them in person, but he has. He went up and visited the facility, and he met the owner and had coffee and all that good stuff. And he said it was great. They were super nice. They let him, took him around and toured the facility, and he bought a couple of products while he was there. But he did say after the fact that he shot them an email inquiring about ordering another product, off their website, and they were kind of slow to respond, which was kind of disappointing to him because he was looking to get a new backpack, and they do like ultralight gear made out of Dyneema. So they were kind of slow to respond. And then when they finally did respond, he answered back with more questions, and then they never responded after that. So he was a little bit disappointed with the level of customer service. After that happened, that was about 2 months ago, I think. After that happened, I went and checked them out because I'm following them on Facebook now. And they seem like a great company. I didn't have any issues up until about a month and a half ago. I ordered, and I have it here for you to see, which now that it's getting dark, you're not going to be able to see it too well. I may have to go get a light. Of course, that'll make the bugs, but it's a bag. It's a little pouch. It's 4 inches by 9 inches with a zipper in the front. I don't think this is Dyneema. I believe this is another type of material that they have that's ultra lightweight. And then I got a food bag. I think this is their medium food bag, which does have a zipper at the top. And then it's got the little plastic clasp that, once you roll it, you can, if I could see the damn thing, you can clip it together, and it's a food bag. I ordered these on I think it was a Sunday or a Monday. I don't remember. I got an email from them confirming my order the next day. Pretty standard procedure. They said they would send another email when it shipped out. 2 weeks went by, and I got another email saying that it was shipped out. Another week went by, and they finally showed up. So it took 3 weeks to get my product. Now, they do say on their website that they're made to order. Mine are plain white. You can't really tell now because it's dark and they look blue, but they're not blue, they're white. Let me see if I can. Well, that doesn't help none, does it? No. It's just a plain white pouch, no printing on it. There is a logo right there. Where's the damn thing at? Oh, it's probably backwards. But yeah, it says Hilltop Packs. That's the company. The food bag is the same. It's just plain white. It's got their logo sewn into it. No printing. They do offer printing on their products, like the food bag or the little pouches. Pretty much any product they have, you can send them a picture, and they'll actually screen print it on there for you, which is super cool. I think it's great. I don't know what it costs, but I saw some pretty cool food bags where put a picture of a bear or it's whatever you would want. Mine are not printed on. Mine are plain white, basic, no color, just plain white just standard. I get that their products are made to order, but I would think that their basic products that are just plain white, that they would have those in stock on a shelf, already made, ready to go. Just grab it off the shelf, ship it out. But they did not. So that was a little disappointing. Other than the 2 emails that I got, now I didn't reach out to them. I just went through the process. I placed the order and I let it flow, under their control, which, 2 weeks after I ordered it, I got the notification that it shipped. And then about a week later, it actually showed up in the mail. They mailed it in the U.S. mail. It wasn't FedEx or anything or UPS. It was just standard, like 3rd class or 4th class mail. I don't even remember if I paid for shipping. I'm sure I did. A little disappointed. They weren't cheap because they're lightweight material. I think this little bag was like $18, and then the food bag was like $35. So I think my total bill with them was like right around $70. So I probably did pay for shipping. I don't remember. I didn't get the rock bag kit that they offer with their food bag. It's a small pouch where you put rocks in it. It's got a line on it, maybe a piece of paracord. I don't know what it was, but that's what you would use to throw up in the tree over a branch, and then you hook your bag to it and pull it up so a bear doesn't get into your food, while you're camping or backpacking. It's basically a food bag, a bear bag. This is definitely not bear proof. It's like, it's not Dyneema, but it's very similar. So as far as like the speed of, again, I would have assumed that, basic white product right off their website, they'd have had them. And I wouldn't have had to, Now, that kind of was disappointing, but I looked at them. I mean, you can't really tell because it's not very well lit out here. They are extremely well made. The stitching is just perfectly straight. All the back stitches are perfect. Whoever they got running the sewing machine has skills. I will tell you that, because they are extremely well made. It's not, like something you would get off Amazon, where you can always find like the stitching's a little crooked, or the seams aren't quite nice and concentric, and but these are extremely well made. So I'm not disappointed as to the quality and the price point. The only disappointment that I had was how long it took to get here. Now, I wasn't in any hurry for it. The reason I ordered this is because I signed up for their affiliate program, and they do give me a 10% discount code to offer to viewers. After this live is done, I'll go ahead and dig the discount code out for you. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But if you decide to go to Hilltop Packs and check out their products, they have a lot of ultralight, like Dyneema type stuff, backpacks and food bags, and they got a lot of cool stuff. If it's something you're going to order for a trip that's coming up pretty soon, I would not recommend ordering it from them because you won't get it quickly, and that'll frustrate you. That's the only downside to it. They're a fairly small company, and they make everything per order. So if you want a food bag like the one I have, they don't just have one on the shelf that they can put in a shipping package and send it out to you, and you have it. Like I said, it took 3 weeks and a couple of days. It was like a Wednesday that I think that I came, and I'm pretty sure I ordered this stuff on like a Sunday or a Monday. So it took 3.5 weeks for me to get, food bag. Yep. It took a while. Again, the quality I'm super happy with. Very well made, lightweight. I mean, this thing weighs almost nothing. I mean, it's a really nice bag. This is a really nice little pouch. I'm not sure what I'm going to use this for, but this is going to be my food bag. I'm going to take the $12 Amazon food bag that I've had in my backpack for, I can't even tell you how many years now. Um, this is going to replace that. I don't know about the white and how easy it is to clean. I know Dyneema is pretty durable when it comes to stains and being able to clean it. So we'll see. Maybe in a couple of months or next year sometime, I'll do a review of the bag, or at least bring it out and show it to you as far as how well it's held up. But again, the quality is on point. Just don't be in a hurry if you're going to get something from them. Now, another thing that I have been tossing around, which I did not bring it up here with me, was I have a fixed blade knife that I've had since I was 13 years old. I have a ton of knives, but I have this one specific fixed blade knife that I don't even know what brand it is. It wasn't expensive. I think I got it at a flea market. One summer I was staying with my grandmother. I was 12 or 13 years old, and I talked her into getting me this fixed blade knife, and it's been phenomenal to me for 40 years. I've had this knife. It's been backpacking. It's been camping. It lived in my tackle box for a few years, and I took it fishing. It's been great. And I think I only paid, my grandmother, I think she only paid like $7 for it or something like that. My grandmother wouldn't spend a lot of money. We didn't have it when I was a kid, so I can guarantee you that it didn't cost a lot of money. But I've had it for 40 years. It's got a leather sheath that's, it's pretty dry. It's very well seasoned leather. But I decided to replace. I was looking at the Montana Knife Company. I was looking at some of those. I watched Clay Hayes. I watched him on that show Alone. And I was pretty impressed with his skill set. And then, of course, when he started the YouTube channel, I immediately subscribed and I follow him. I think he's a master at wilderness survival. But I'm guessing he's sponsored now by Montana Knife Company. So I went onto their website to check them out, and they make some really nice knives, man. I mean, really nice knives. They're not cheap though. The ones that I looked at were right around $300, I think, $250 or $300. And if I had that kind of money, I would not hesitate to buy a $300 fixed blade knife, but I don't. So, I went on to Amazon, and I don't remember the name of this knife. I really should turn a light on out here. This is a Beavercraft. I saw Beavercraft on Facebook, I think. They're a company that makes like wood carving chisels and for things like that. I saw that they do make. I saw on their website that they do have knives. So I went ahead and found their Amazon link, and I purchased a fixed blade. I really need to turn a light on out here. Hang on, let me see if I can get a light turned on out here. Just hang loose for a second. There we go. Just gonna have some lights out here. There, that's better. All right, so I bought this Beavercraft fixed blade wooden handle. I haven't used it yet. I just got it about 2 weeks ago. I think I picked this up for about $45 or $50. Seems to have a nice edge. It's got a nice 90-degree spine for scraping on a ferro rod, to get sparks. I haven't put it on a ferro rod to make sure, but I'm fairly certain it is going to work. Again, the company is called Beavercraft, and actually I think this knife model, this is called the Nightfall. is the motto of this one, the Beavercraft Nightfall. So I'm excited to replace, well, not so much replace my 40-year-old flea market knife, um, because if this gives me any reason to not like it, it will go in the bin with the, I don't know, 50, 60 other knives that I have that I bought and didn't like. None of them are any big super quality knives. I'm just not that guy that spends a lot. This $50 knife is probably one of the most expensive ones I have. I think I have an old school buck fixed blade knife that was stainless steel. Great knife, good balance, very well made, but it doesn't spark a ferro rod because it's stainless steel. So I don't really use it, and it's kind of pretty. So it just kind of sits in the bin. It's an $80 waste of money, I guess. I don't know, but I'm excited to see what this Beavercraft is all about. I I want to say this was made in like Ukraine, to be honest with you. I think I remember reading that on their website, that these are made in Ukraine. So that would be interesting to find out that, they make their knives in Ukraine, or there's a knife company in Ukraine. I didn't know. I've never owned anything. It came in a leather sheath with a belt loop and then a secondary loop that, I don't know if it unsnaps or not. No, I don't think it does. Yeah, I can't even get this. I'd have to cut that off of there because I don't know if I like that. It's got this secondary loop. It's got a belt loop on it, but then it's got this secondary loop that is non-removable. So I don't know how much I like that. Maybe I could drill this rivet out and actually get a snap installed, so I could, use this if I chose to. But I don't know. I haven't done anything with it. I just got it about 2 weeks ago. So I'll let you know now. If anybody wants to, donate a Montana Knife Company knife to me, hey, call me up. I'll give you my address. You can send me one. But, I probably would never see myself spending, $300 on a knife, because I have a flea market knife that does everything I've ever needed it to do. I've cleaned fish with it. I've gutted rabbits and pheasant and deer and groundhog and grouse. What else? Turkey. Sam, how are you, Sam? Thanks for joining. Things are going well. Glad you can join. And this flea market knife has done everything that I've ever needed it to do. It sparks a ferro rod. It's carved wood. It's cut wood. It's whatever you call it when you put it down and you beat the knife down through the wood to split it. I've split wood with it. It's just, the thing has just been on point. And again, it was a flea market knife. One of those things I got like, so I decided to upgrade. I don't know yet if this is an upgrade, but we will find out. So that I'm excited about. All right, now let's, if anybody has any questions about the knife, there's only a couple people watching right now, but I'll certainly answer any questions that you might have about the knife. Sam, you just jumped in. You missed my little rant on, which you can see the bag now, Hilltop Packs. I don't think that this is Dyneema. I think it's their other material. But I just went through a rant. You'll have to watch it after the live ends, and you can go back and check it out. But I have some products from Hilltop Packs out of Pennsylvania. If anybody has any questions about those, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. This has been a good live because 2 weeks ago when I did a live, I had 400 and some people watching, and it was hard to stay on topic because they kept asking me some ridiculous questions, and it was just, so this is a good one. So if nobody has any questions on the Beavercraft knife or the Hilltop Packs, hey, Texas 1, how's it going? Mostly alien questions. Yes, that's what they were asking, alien questions. In fact, I guess just to be funny, last night when I was doing the live on Facebook with 302 Outdoors, my daughter jumped on and asked me about aliens. She did it just to be funny because I think she watched the YouTube live the week before or 2 weeks ago, and she told me to be careful that people will get me off topic, and I'll start rambling on about nonsense, and so. But anyway, so I'm glad we don't have anybody asking alien questions this week. You know, boatloads of stuff in the news to talk about and ask me about, and I'll certainly talk about whatever somebody wants to discuss. But aliens, come on. All right, moving on. The main topic that I wanted to discuss today, doing this live, and the reason I'm doing it, I didn't bring any of my packs out. I grabbed a couple of things out of my 5-day pack that I'm taking, in 2 weeks on the trip with Bruce, 302 Outdoors. Him and I are going to be doing some hiking, and I'm putting together my 5-day pack. And I did a video on that a month ago, maybe. But I am going to do a follow-up live next week. He's putting his pack together. I'll get mine closer to being ready to go. And I think we're going to do a live next either Friday or Saturday on our packs, what we're taking, yada, 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 yada. So, but these are just two of the things that are going to be added to the pack. I kind of wanted to single them out because they're kind of like new additions to my gear loadout that I just got, and I haven't done any reviews. But somebody, in fact, one of my viewers, my good friend in Arizona, he had called me after the last live, and he suggested that I do a bag maintenance video. Well, because I haven't done any videos, I'm just doing lives. I figured I could kind of blend that topic into this live, which 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, I did two or three videos on my 3-day emergency bag that I keep in the truck. In fact, I did a whole truck series where I showed you everything that's in my truck that that I keep with me. It's kind of like my everyday carry, but what's in the truck, including the emergency bag that's in there. And I'm pretty sure that I discussed it in the video, but we're going to bring it up again because, how many people here? We got a couple of watchers. We got a couple people watching this. I can't see if you're raising your hand, but you're raising your hand. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have a bug out bag or a get home bag or an inch bag or an emergency bag or something. It is absolutely important that you do not just pack the bag with the supplies that you're going to need or you think you're going to need and then forget about it. Yep, see, Texas has one. You have to go through that bag. I do mine twice a year because where I live in Maryland, right now it's 85 degrees, 90 degrees. It's humid as I don't know what. It's brutal. It's been this way for about a month now. The temperatures have just been brutal. But come January, February, it could be 15 degrees outside. So my emergency bag, I have to have summer gear and winter gear. And there's no reason for me to have all that at one time in the bag. So twice a year, I pull the bag out of the truck. I check my batteries and not just look at them. Oh yeah, they're still good, because I don't keep batteries in my devices. I don't keep the batteries in my headlamp. I don't keep the batteries in my radio. I keep the batteries separate because I want to avoid corrosion, and batteries, will corrode, especially alkaline batteries. So I always keep my batteries separate. I don't just look at them. Oh yeah, they're still batteries. They're brand new 6 months ago when I put them. Those batteries come out because I try to stick with everything taking AAA batteries. And the batteries that are for my headlamp in my emergency bag and every other pack that I have is AAA. I pull those batteries out and I put them aside. And then I take brand new batteries and I put them in the bag every 6 months. The same as I swap out the food, I swap out the clothing, seasonally for what I'm going to need. Now, the batteries that I took out, yes, they were still brand new. I never used them. They were in the bag, but they were 6 months old. They go in my EDC flashlight, which my belt clip broke for about the 18th time. I keep breaking this. This is just a cheap Amazon flashlight. I think it was like 15 bucks. And I love the size. You know, I'm not spending $70 or $80 on a flashlight. Travel a lot through Texas, Oklahoma. Oh, yeah. So you carry a lot in your truck. Yep, just like I do. I don't cover that much territory. Same with devices and batteries. Yep. I travel Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Virginia. I could be anywhere between 5 miles from my house to 150 miles from my house. So I keep a 3-day pack. And if you go back and watch my my personal SHTF videos, that's kind of where I started that whole sequence with, you know, oh shit, you know, it's a personal SHTF, you know, what am I going to do? So that's kind of how I started that whole sequence. And that's how I actually launched my YouTube channel. But again, the batteries that I have in my emergency bag, or in any of my backpacks that I use for hiking and backpacking, those batteries come out and I set them aside and I put new batteries in the packs and then put the packs back where they belong. The batteries that I took out, yes, they're still brand new, but they're 6 months old. Those are the batteries that go in my everyday carry flashlight. This literally is on my pocket every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I always have a flashlight in my pocket. I've gone through umpteen belt clips, and in fact, this one's taped on with Gorilla Tape because it's the second time I broke it. That I fixed it with Gorilla Tape the first time, and now I just broke it again. So now I'm going to have to order another belt clip, which they're cheap. They're like, you know, $2 or something. You know, now my optics batteries, those, okay, I have 2 ARs that have optics that require batteries. The one is the newest AR, the blueprint build that I just did, that has the Hollow Sun 510, and it's a shake and wake. So it's just there, and it's the little button battery, the 2032 or whatever. You know, and I keep those. You know, I have a couple of packs of those in my battery bin, but I haven't had it long enough to have to take the battery out and replace it yet. Now, the other AR, the budget AR that I built before that has a Vortex on it, which I believe has a lighted reticle in it. Now, I'm not a fan of lighted reticles. I like a standard plain Jane reticle, mil dot, because if the battery dies, I still need a reticle. So I won't primarily rely on something that if the battery dies, then I can't aim it anymore. All I can do is point it. So, but I think the Strike, I think it's a Strike Eagle, the Vortex scope that's on that one, I believe it is a lighted reticle, and one of the side caps for the turret adjustment has a space inside the cap where the battery is stored, and I've never taken it out of that space and actually put it in it to be able to turn it on. It's still in the storage space that it came in. I may decide one day to actually put it in and light the reticle up, but I highly doubt it. It'll probably just stay in that spot, and I will probably never use that reticle in a lighted fashion. It's just, I'm not a fan of them. I've had a couple of them over the years, and I just don't like them. The older I get, the worse my eyes get. I may end up being forced during low light situations to have a lighted reticle, but as it stands right now, I don't need a lighted reticle. So, but now the Hollow Sun, that's a green dot. You know, it's got the little circle with the dot in the middle, and that's the only optic on that. I don't have irons on that or anything, which I may end up putting 45-degree irons on it. I don't know yet. Um, it depends on. Supposedly the battery lasts like 10,000 hours. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm going to live 10,000 hours. I mean, that's a long time. I mean, I don't know how long 10,000 hours is in years, but I have a handful of those 2032s or whatever they are. Um, I picked up like a 10-pack off Amazon for I don't remember how much it was uh, for other optics that I have that I don't even use lighted, but I have them. They're probably need to be replaced because it's not something that I generally maintain through because I don't use lighted reticles. But it will have to be something. But getting back to it, twice a year minimum, get into your pack. You'll try to stay single forever. Oh, I don't even know what to say about that. Till your last breath. Yeah. Well, good luck with that one. You find the right partner, man. It's like your best friend. Uh, you find the wrong partner, and it just gets ugly. Believe me, I've been on both sides of that spectrum, and I prefer the one I'm on now. I got like my best friend. She puts up with all my quirks and idiosyncrasies and all that other nonsense, and lets me do my thing, and here we are. But anyway, your bag maintenance is just super important, man. The expiration dates on any food you have in there. Now I know a lot of guys will use those like Life bars, that are good for like 5 years. But if it's in your truck, or in your vehicle, then it's going to be susceptible to extreme temperature changes. The sun, the cold, that's going to shorten the life expectancy of it considerably. So if I was going to use, like, I don't have the Life bars. I have different types of food in my emergency bag, and I just check the dates. More than likely, one of my camping trips this year or my backpacking trips this year, because I know the food that I have in my emergency pack is going to be good until late 2025 or early from Syria. Greetings to the American people. Hey, Forrest King, you're in Syria? Man, you're not in a good place, brother. I've been hearing that there's some unrest going on over there. I feel for you. Stay safe, man. Keep your head on a swivel. Greetings to the American people. Well, greetings to you, brother. The food that I have in my emergency pack will come out at some point in one of my backpacking trips. I know I got a couple of them planned this year, and that's what I'll actually eat on my backpacking trip, and then I'll replace the food that belongs in my emergency pack. So you have to do. It's just important. You can't just put a backpack together, or a bug out bag, or a go bag, or an inch bag, or a get home bag, or whatever you're calling your bag. You can't just put it together and forget about it. You have to maintain it. A good rule of thumb is, twice a year we change the batteries in our smoke detectors. Use that as your trigger. Be like, oh, I got to change the batteries in my smoke detector. I also got to change the batteries in my bug out bag. Don't worry, you're safe. Visit us after safety returns. I don't know if I'll ever make it out to Syria. But I do hope that you are safe, and that all this conflict going on there just kind of fizzles out. So I feel for you, brother. I'll pray for you. But as far as, now if you're in an area like Fair is King, he just put up in the comments he's in Syria. He probably needs a get home bag or a bug out bag, way more than a lot of us do here in America. Not that we don't run the risk of needing something like that. That's why we carry it, just in case. But you have to maintain your bag. Your first aid kit. If you have, in fact, I keep antiseptic wipes in the center console of the truck. I have some in my bag in the first aid kit, but I also keep, just wipes in the center console of the truck. I don't know where I got them from. They were somewhere I was at, they had a bucket of them. I grabbed a handful and stuck them in my pocket. And when I got back to the truck, I dumped them in the center console. And uh, uh, 2-3 weeks ago, the wife and I were somewhere, and she needed a wipe, and I'm like, oh, I got some here. I remember I put some in here, and I dug through the center console, and there's 8 or 10 packs of them in there. It was dried out. So if you have antiseptic wipes or clean wipes or anything in your emergency bag first aid kit, including medications, Tylenol, Advil, Tums, Imodium, Pepto, that you also have to cycle out. Even if it says it's good for 5 years, I would not leave it in the truck for 5 years or leave it in the car for 5 years untouched. Twice a year, go through your bag, check your batteries, swap everything out, check the dates on your food, check the dates on your medical supplies. I know bandages have expiration dates. I have a friend who is a nurse, and they have to go through and check the dates on everything where he works regularly, because bandages and sutures and all of the medical supplies that they use at the hospital, it all has expiration dates. And a lot of it, he gets to, they put it all together and it gets thrown in a dumpster, and the superintendent or the boss will say, hey, if you want any of this stuff, help yourself. And, he'll grab a couple boxes of gauze or, a box of gloves or whatever. So his first aid kit is usually right on the brink of expiring or expired stuff. And he's like, a gauze pad is a gauze pad. They just can't legally use it at the hospital because of insurance reasons, because it has an expiration date and it's past that date. Can't understand some of the words, language problem, but I'll translate it later. Thank you. May God protect the United States and President Trump. He did a great job by lifting. Yeah. Well, I'm probably talking a little fast for you. I apologize. It's my normal speech pattern, and most of the people that watch are American, so they're probably understanding me just fine. But I appreciate that you're going to take the time to run it through a translator. If you have any questions, man, don't hesitate. Put them in the comments, or you can shoot me an email. My email is Gen X Outdoors and Preparedness at Yahoo. Yeah. Or you can find me on Facebook too. I have a Facebook page under the same name, Gen X Outdoors and Preparedness. If you got any questions, man, don't hesitate. Just hit me up, and I'll answer any questions you have. So, but the bag maintenance is important. You have to do that. You got to check the dates on everything. I can't say it enough times because I've done it. I've pulled Band-Aids or something out of the first aid kit and been like, ooh, I've had this one a while. The packaging has got a little yellow tint to it. So, hey, Texas, thanks for watching, man. We'll catch you next time. Have a good night. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. And God bless Texas. God bless Texas. Should have worn my Cowboys hat. All right, now, final subject. My good friend out in Arizona, he sends me these little care packages a couple times a year, maybe once a year. I send him little care packages. He sends them to me. Him and I have been friends for over 40 years. He sent me a care package, a couple of weeks ago, and it was some cool stuff. But every care package he sends me always has hats in it. He knows I collect hats. I counted about 2011 or 2012, I counted the hats that I have, and that was 13 years ago, and it was over 1,600 ball caps. That's how many hats I have. 1,600 hats. More than that, because I've gotten a shit ton since I counted them last. So one of the things that he had said, he's like, every time you do a video, you should wear a different hat. and see how long it takes people to pick up on it. Ask me like, dude, how many hats do you have? I could make a lot of videos making, wearing a different hat for every video. If I had to guess, I'd say there's 1,800 to 2,000 hats total. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. Generally, what I do is, I have so many hats to choose from. I'll pick one like this one. I'm not sure what this one says. It was camouflage. It's like some kind of vacuum company. I guess like a street vac. It's a decent hat. It was one of the newer ones I just got, and I'll wear it for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and then I'll put it in the bin with one of the bins, because I have multiple bins of hats, and then I'll grab another one, and I'll wear it for a while, and then the same thing, I'll throw it in the bin and just grab another one, and I go through a couple of them a year. Sometimes I'll wear the same hat. I'll get it kind of attached to it, and I'll wear the same hat for months and months and months. I have a Carhartt hat that I had bought. I think I got it at Tractor Supply. I don't remember. But it was blue. And it's not blue anymore. I wore it for about 6 or 7 months. And because I work outside, I'm out in the sun, I'm sweating, the sweat the hat just soaks the sweat up, and then the sun bleaches it because of the salt in my sweat. It destroys a hat for me to wear it, for any great length of time. But I wore this Carhartt hat to where it's like I'm not even sure how to describe the color of this hat at this point. It's so faded. And I wore it a lot longer than I normally would. But when I put it away and went to grab another one, I got my bins out of order, and I grabbed a bin that I had packed away 20 years ago, and I pulled out a Winchester hat. It was black with a camouflage bill that I know I got when I was in my 20s. I think I was in my early 20s when I got that hat, and I remember wearing it for a couple of months and putting it away, and I'm like, wow, this one's cool. And I took a picture of it and sent it to him in Arizona. I was like, hey, remember this? He's like, actually, I do remember that hat. He's like, I think I have pictures of you wearing that hat. And I'm like, yeah, it's like brand new still. So I wore that one for a while. Am I a camper? Yes, I am. I do not have a camper. I still rock a tent. But yes, Big Yeti. Big Yeti says, damn. How about you, Crunch? Are you a camper? I have a trip coming up in 2 weeks with a good friend of mine over in Delaware. He's got a Facebook page, 302 Outdoors, and he also does paracord work. The bracelets and, anything that you can tie in the fancy little knots out of paracord. He's got rolls and rolls and rolls of different kinds of paracord, different colors. In fact, he made me a set of paste beads, a paste counter that I haven't seen him since he made it, so I haven't gotten it yet. But him and I have a trip planned in 2 weeks out to Susquehanna State Park, northern section of the Chesapeake Bay, where the Susquehanna River dumps into the Chesapeake Bay coming out of Pennsylvania. There's a state park there, and him and I have a trip. We're going to get together Friday, Saturday, Sunday, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to do some camping, and we're going to hike a section of the Mason-Dixon Trail. Not do any trail camping. We actually reserved a campsite. The section of the Mason-Dixon Trail we're going to do is only about 12 and a half miles, 13 miles. I hiked it a couple of years ago. Yes, you got to, man. We only get to go around once. You get one shot at life, man. You got to enjoy it. You got to find something that you love to do and make the time to do it. So I try to enjoy, and I've had my downtime, my days where I was miserable. We all have to work and pay bills and deal with bullshit, but there's those things in life that, that we look forward to. I know growing up, I've always been an outdoorsman. One is more than enough. Yeah, yeah, maybe. Um, I've always been an outdoorsman. I grew up fishing and hunting and camping, and you don't want a second chance? I would do it if I could take the knowledge I've gained this go around with me. That would be cool to start all over again with the knowledge that I have. I've said a dozen times that if I knew then what I know now, um, think things would be different because every day is a learning process. I learn new stuff every day. Um, oh, never a scary place. What's a scary place, man? Life's only scary if you let it be. You know, I've asked people. I grew up in a suburb of Baltimore. I actually lived in Baltimore City for a part of my life when I was younger, and then we moved out to the county and to the suburbs. Um, so I kind of, and I had friends that never left the city, and I would go back and visit them. So I have gotten to live both sides of that spectrum of city life and country life. Um, so it was good. I appreciate it very much that I kind of got to see both, and I kind of feel at home in both environments. I'm fine down in the city. Uh, I tend to stay a little more aware of my surroundings when I'm in the city. Um, with the crime the way it is, and just things being the way they are, I feel safer in the woods. And I've had people say, how can you feel safe in the woods? There's wild animals out there. To me, they're not wild. They're just the animals that live in the woods. There's bear and rattlesnake and raccoon and there's a lot of things in the woods that can hurt you, but if you understand what's out there and you respect it, no, I live in a subdivision. I did up until 2016, from 2005 to 2016. I basically lived in the woods. I had gotten divorced from my first wife, and kids and we moved out to Pennsylvania, to this property that my grandparents had left me, and it was basically hunting property that had a house on it, and that's where I basically raised my kids. Middle of nowhere, middle of the woods. We dealt with black bear on the front porch and walking through the yard constantly, rattlesnakes constantly. There was a ton of dangers out there, and I never really felt unsafe. But I spent my summers there as a kid. My grandparents had that property. They bought it in the 70s when I was a little kid. It didn't. Now the house that I had bought with my first wife, yeah, I sold that. Um, just because, her and I didn't live together anymore because we went our separate ways. And there was no point in keeping the house. I didn't want to stay there. And I had to raise two young kids by myself. And that's expensive and a lot of responsibility. And I made the decision to move to Pennsylvania and, live in this little small town back in the woods. Hell, the school bus stop was 2 miles away from the house. I had to drive them to it every day. It was, it was a long walk. They couldn't walk 2 miles to the bus stop. Um, so there were some adjustments, but I think it was good for them. My daughter may dispute that. I don't know if she was a big fan of it. Uh, I know my son appreciated it, and he, my son, he sees that I did the best that I could under the circumstances, and I don't think he has any ill feelings about it because when the time was right, I moved us out of there. My daughter left first. She came back down here, moved in with her mother. She wanted to be in a more populated area, but she still talks about that place every now and again. And I think there's parts of it that she does miss, but I'm not going to dispute her opinion on the difficulty of being literally out in the middle of nowhere. There was a lot of, adjustments that had to be made and sacrifices. Now they still played sports and had school activities and all that good stuff. I tried to make it as normal for them as I could, but we didn't have like a neighbor next door that they could go play with, or you know what I mean. So there were some adjustments that had to be made. But again, I didn't plan on staying there forever, and I didn't. So, but for uh, 10, 11 years, like literally lived in the woods. It was nice. I liked it. There was parts about it that I miss. I know I live in a subdivision now where, everybody and their brother likes to walk their dog around dinner time. So my dog barks all the time because there's so many people walking their dogs, which, I live in a subdivision with 1 acre yards, right around an acre, little less than 1 acre. Some of them, the corner lots are about an acre, maybe an acre and a quarter. But, people have big enough yards to just let their dog run around the yard, but they don't do that. They put that sucker on a leash and they walk it around the subdivision on the asphalt. 100 freaking degrees out here, and they're walking it around on the asphalt. My dog takes walks. I try to. My youngest, she walks the dog a lot around the neighborhood, but she generally does it at night. And she likes nobody to bother her. But for the most part, I have an electric fence around my yard, and I just let the dog out, and it does its thing, and that's that. So, oh yeah, what time is it? I don't have a watch on, and I don't think that I can see the. Yeah, I can. Oh, it's 10 of 10. Yeah, about to wrap this up. Yeah, that was the subjects I wanted to talk about. I wanted to show you these. Oh, I can show you this knife now. This Beavercraft knife, for those of you that saw it. Here it is. There is the fixed blade Beavercraft that I just got. So we'll have to see how this does. It's got a decent edge on it. I'm not overly impressed, but I'm not. I didn't take it out of the package and be like, ooh, I don't know about this. So I'm pretty confident this is going to be good. So that's about all I got for you. When I get my computer issue straightened out and I can break this down into shorts, I don't know if I'll do it with this video here because I really didn't talk about much other than a couple little products. But I think moving forward, Crunch, if you're still watching, I think like you suggested, because I was kind of on the same thought process of I'm going to do the gear reviews and all of the normal topics that I've been doing on the channel. I'm going to do those live. I'm not sure what days. I may set aside specific days, maybe Wednesdays and Sundays or something. I don't know. I got to work all that out still. But I think that's kind of the direction I'm going to go. And then after the live is done, at some point I'll download it, grab clips out of it, put together shorts, and upload the shorts. So hopefully the shorts will drive some traffic to the channel, and I'll get more people, because I really didn't get too many people on this live. I think the highest I saw, hey, Bruce, what's going on? 302 Outdoors in the house. I just got done. I don't know how long you've been with us, Bruce. I went over the Hilltop. I showed my stuff from Hilltop and, talked about our experience thus far. Nothing negative, but nothing positive. Just went through, what we've experienced thus far. Talked about our trip coming up. I don't know if a couple people were in here. Paranorma Circuit, whatever that word is. Yeah, I saw you put that on Facebook. Going to see some spooky stuff. Bruce is into that spooky stuff. In fact, we got a trip coming up in October to the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. The lore, or the whatever it is, the story is there's a devil, the New Jersey devil or whatever. I looked it up briefly online. I don't really believe in that kind of stuff, but Bruce is really into that, and he's now into backpacking and camping. So we're going to do stop motion productions. How's it going? Thanks for joining. So we're going to go do a couple day trip into the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, right around the area that the New Jersey Devil was supposed to be, haunting the woods or whatever. So that'll be cool. Hopefully we'll have a phone signal. I'm good, slow motion. I'm real good. How are you, sir? Um, Hopefully we'll have yes, you can ask something. Just please don't ask me about aliens or religion. I went over that with my last live. Um, so yeah, go ahead, type it in. Do I have a Desert Eagle? I do not. Um, yeah, hold on. I'll get to that real quick. Let me finish what I was saying about, Bruce and I, 302 Outdoors, we're going to do a trip in October, I believe, to the Pine Barrens. Um, I don't know what the phone signal is going to be there, but I do know the trip we have coming up in 2 weeks. Um, there is phone service in that state park, so we're probably going to do a live. I do know about some Desert Eagles. I know a guy that had one. I don't know if he still does, but give me 1 second, slow motion. I'll talk about that for a minute. So in the future, I think we're going to try to do some lives, at these parks. So that'll be kind of cool. Desert Eagle. A friend of mine had one in, I want to say 44. It could have been 50. The little, not the BMG, but the little one. I don't remember. This was years ago. What I didn't like about it is the frame was too big for my hand. It's a really large frame pistol. Certainly not something you would even attempt to conceal or carry on your person, because it's an extremely large frame. I would certainly try to actually hold one before you commit to purchasing, because they're not cheap. They're pretty pricey. In fact, I saw one a couple of months back. I was up at my gunsmith's place, and a guy came. He brought one in. Never met the guy. He was just a customer, and he was asking about having it gold plated. So, not sure. I've never heard anything positive or negative as far as functionality with those, which is a good thing. There's a lot of pistols out there that can get some negative. I know you've probably heard all of the negative feedback on the SIG 320. And I know they pulled a bunch of them off the shelf, because they're having some mechanical issues with that pistol. And there's been, pistols throughout the years that have had little issues that had to be solved. I've never heard anything about the Desert Eagle, as far as, anything negative functionality wise. So as far as I know, they function well. They're well made. I know they're not cheap. They're pretty pricey. I've always seen them more of a boutique type pistol. The biggest frame pistol I have is a Beretta 92, and that's about the biggest that I can, that I'm comfortable with. I'm right around that medium to medium large frame pistol size. And I know 20 years ago when I did actually hold a Desert Eagle, I didn't fire it, but I held it. It's a huge frame. I couldn't even get my hand around it. You know what I mean? Try to, it just didn't. So I would suggest handling one before you commit to buy it. But I've never heard anything. I know they're really nice, aesthetic wise, and I know, people put a lot into them as far as engraving and finishes and coatings and all that. And there's a ton of aftermarket parts for them, because of their popularity. But again, I've always seen them as a bit on the boutique level. So that's why I've never considered, purchasing one. So it would be cool to see a video, because I don't know if there's any videos. Hickok might have one. I'd have to look through his library to see if he's ever done a review on a Desert Eagle. But I know he reviews. In fact, you might want to go through his library. Hickok 45 on YouTube. He's been doing gun reviews for 10 years now, at least. You might want to look through his library and see if he's done a Desert Eagle, because he does a lot of that kind of stuff, the boutique, type stuff. So I wish you luck in that. So, and that's all I got as far as the Desert Eagle goes. Good luck with that. I don't see too many of those on shelves, so it may be something that you may have to order. I don't know. I know the gun stores that I regularly go in, I rarely see. In fact, I just saw on YouTube it's supposed to be the best gun store in Pennsylvania, and I don't remember the name of it, but there's a guy on YouTube that has a channel that's been going around the country to all the states, and he goes to what he's claiming is the best gun store in the state. And the one he went to in Pittsburgh, or in Pennsylvania, is in Philadelphia. And I watched that video merely because Philadelphia is not far from me. So, if I ever get bored and want to take a road trip to a cool gun store, I could go to that one. But it definitely looked like the type of store that would carry a Desert Eagle, or at least have one in their safe or something, because they had a lot of high-end stuff. Yes, pitch dark outside. It sure is. I'm outside right now. I got the lights on the deck. That's actually the sunroom behind me. The light's not on in there. But I'll show you what it looks like. There you go. That's the back. And yes, it's pitch black here. It's 10 o'clock at night. So I got to wrap this up. I got to work tomorrow. Don't know about all y'all, but 5:30 comes early for me. So I appreciate those that were watching. Like I said, if you have any questions about any of the stuff that I showed, feel free to hit me up with questions, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Until then, everybody be safe. Hydrate a lot if you're in the area like I am, that it's ungodly hot, and keep your head on a swivel. We'll see you in the next one.